Alrighty, I am here and ready to begin. And so we are back onto 41st try onwards of the GR150. And I think this time I don't need to do too much um, recap, I think, even though I should probably just go through roughly the gear. Still no good restraint, but I did get an improvement of the boots from a friend of a friend. The support Demon Hunter friend did not need a pair of boots, so I got a primal pair of boots, and that will help compared to uh, the one I previously used, which is right on my screen here. Everything else is the same, no change, and so I think previously though in the other 20, I probably have used the primal boots already. But anyway, that's just to give a short recap. I haven't gotten too much more paragons since the 20th through 21st through 40th try. But at that point, you might as well say get like way more paragons. But then at the same time, uh, by then hopefully would have gotten better ring or something, and maybe a better amulet. But if not, it's about the same. Like, you're still gonna need the right monster types, and especially at least two of the right pylons anyways. So as long as the RNG of the pylon order makes sense, I think I can get close again. I've gotten close probably like about 5 or 6 times out of the 40 attempts. Three of them were much closer, and two of them had the potential. So it's 2 out of 40. So I mean, if you play the most perfect, uh, one of the two might have been very close, but it's still very hard to tell on the spot, like when you actually need to perform um, the best of your ability for the conduit play, especially, uh, or even having enough progress to save a power pylon when it's not the final pylon, right? Like if it appeared first or in the middle, how would you go backwards for them for the power pylon? So that's like a deal breaker in terms of the pylon order. Even if you got the right pylons, the three main pylons, and at this paragon, I need all three pylons, more or less, which only makes the push attempt even more difficult. But the challenge is to find uh, how you can stay break even through the rifts. Uh, and I think that's the most important part of, and the most fun about the game, really. Because otherwise, you're just gonna sit there and get all the paragons, but you're still gonna skip, like probably some of the monster types that you don't want anyways. Then what's the difference then? The difference is that there's no difference because you're still gonna want those monster types anyway. So we'll see. We'll see. Let me begin with a warm up. I'll warm up straight into the 150, and the downside of warming up straight into the 150 is that uh, I won't be ready. I won't be prepared. I won't be warmed up, basically. But that's how it goes. I mean, if I can get the right stuff, I should be fine. All right, here we go. Let's start 41st try. Uh, also agony. It is what it is. Uh, is this like lurker or accursed or hellions? so confusing sometimes when the beginning is like a mix. Alright, so so it's big spiders. Okay. Well, there's some. I mean, so far okay. The only problem with this position and big spiders is that there's no space to even play your necklace because of the poison pools. Hmm. Alright, this Oculus ring. Hey, how are you doing? How are you doing? Let me just make sure. Yep, everything's good. 6%. Alright, just make sure I didn't get anything weird back here. Blue elite to start. You know, recently my keyboard, I find that I might need to like replace the keyboard because of how many times I've pressed the number 1 key. It's almost like I've pressed the number 1 key so much that it's failing more than it really should. And that's why I keep losing my momentum stacks. What's really bad is that I can't play the necklace stacks. And I mean, it's not even the necklace stacks really, it's just the Oculus rings are so bad with big spiders. I don't actually like big spiders to begin with. I like big spiders to be like in the middle where I have a shield pylon or something, usually. And that's what happened with my 149, if I remember. It's been a long time now. Alright, so this is almost done already, this rift. Because of how annoying the big spiders are just not able to let me have a start. Let's see the floor 2. Yeah, it's tall spearman. Nope. Well, 41st try is out. Alright, so 41st try. You know, 150 is just so demanding. Sometimes I wonder how my 149 went so well. Because even in season 32, it took me 140 plus paragons more than I did my 149. And the density of the 149 and 150 is not very different. Anyway, 41st try fail. Floor 1 Halls of Agony. Big Spiders mob set. Slow progress start. Play to 11%. Floor 2 check. Pandemonium. Tall spearman offset. Behind by 2 minutes. Well, almost 3 minutes already. In fact, that's crazy. So until I get a good mob type, I think there's no way I can get there. All right, 42nd. Ice. Really? Oh man, I wasn't even prepared for that. Okay, space beasts, but there's one big problem here. The one big problem is I'm procced, and the other big problem is that the second elite saw me. Which means that I am in deep trouble even to play this spot. Wow. Like, getting sniped is so bad. Like, I don't even think I can play here. Like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, this is insane. So, Face Beast is really good. But the commit here is really bad. But if I can't warm up to this though, I can't play even this mob type. I just need to warm up right now. And then as soon as I get 3%, I'm out of this spot, I think. Which I don't know if I even can get the 3%. Because it's so difficult to get the Oculus rings. Okay, 3%. I'll just use the Oculus ring while it's outside. Okay. Alright, I think that's it. Alright, can I play in peace here? Probably. Yeah, that... So, the problem with this build is that you need to have space to start. Like this, for example. Even if you get hurt from, like, regular stuff, it's fine, generally speaking. But when you get, like, a elite pack to, like, waste your time because of the affixes, then it's really terrible. That's the downside of this God DH. God DH cannot really play the elites at the beginning. You can play the elites like gradually. So we'll see what today brings. Alright. 12%. I didn't even check myself to dead end. Not enough density. Another blue, but not enough density. Like, this is terrible. Not enough density, and then I get a Waller. Yeah, I got a... No, I can't play this. The walling took all the fun out. Skeletal Ranger. That's an interesting one. So how do you play this, you ask? Well, first of all, you need a good start. So, had there not been that one extra elite, I think it would have been a little bit better. I started out too slow. That's the one issue I have. Or I had on that previous floor. So now we have to pray for the 18% chance. But the bad news is that this gold bar that I have is half. So like, when your gold bar, well, for me, in my experience, when the gold bar is like that, my first pylon is like almost gone. And I got a yellow elite again. Ooh, ooh, okay, okay, I got lucky. But I wasn't prepared for the luck. I just got lucky. Okay, so 18% conduit, but I'm already so far behind time. This is gonna be such a huge, monumental task for this conduit to even do much for me. And now, where are the elites? Now, where are the elites? I need the elites now. There's like 2? Where are the elites? There's like no elites. This is like a density conduit. Okay, finally another. This is like a density conduit, I think. Yeah, this is a density conduit. They're so super split. All my elites are so rough. Okay, anyway. And I got spinners. Okay, well, I couldn't delay much further. I think this is too much for the conduit, by the way. Not to mention getting procced. And the shielding is just like forever. This shielding guy has been shielded for like almost my entire conduit the whole time. That was the whole conduit. Okay, I broke even. Speed pylon. Yeah, no. Alright, well, 18% conduit. The shield guy took so much. Ice porcupine is okay. My issue is the speed pylon was not the right follow-up. And even if I had the shield... Well, shield is fine for this mob type, actually. Shield would have been good for this mob type. Yeah. I mean, I did clear out most of what I needed to clear with the conduit. It was just not enough of the conduit, also because I was already 2 minutes behind in the first place. Alright. As soon as I take out a few more... Alright. Moving on. Yeah, see, I need a shield here. This is the best spot for the shield had I gotten the shield. So, this is basically over. I'm just gonna. Well, I mean, if the elite catches up to me, I'm doomed anyways. Yeah, I'm doomed. I'm just gonna clear out a few more percent and then go next, I think, because it's impossible. This was a good try, at least. I mean, seeing the conduit was pretty funny already as it is. Had I not even seen the conduit, I wouldn't even have been anywhere close, by the way. Alright, so that was pretty cool. 42nd try fail. Um, floor 2, great. Floor 1, Autumn Forest, Face Beasts, Mob Set. Floor 2, Graveyard. Somehow managed 18% Conduit, behind by 2 minutes. Broke even to 54%. Spotted second pylon speed. Floor 3 check. Pandemonium. Ice Porcupine. Mob set. Played to 62%. Yeah. Yeah, not bad. It's not a bad try. That was like much better, but it was just sad that the follow-up wasn't a shield. Because because the amount of elites that I'm gonna see, I need a shield. Yeah. Alright. 43rd. Pandemonium. Uh this mob type is really nice if you get so this is the X Executioner Dark Berserker. This mob type is that if you get like a few screens of this, you get your progress. Because this mob type is also especially a lot easier to play your Oculus Ring outside of obviously the hammer could get you. But in most cases, like this mob type is like really easy to play the Oculus Rings, which is really like helpful. See, six. I mean, it's almost break even as long as you don't have an elite. Well, now I got triple yellow elites. Yeah, this floor is done. Triple yellow elites. Uh, there's no space to play anything. Yep. Probably here. I can try here. So the margin for playing at this Paragon is that you just need to use as many spots of density as you can to get yourself to the first pylon. I mean, generally that's what you want to do anyway because the elites stall you. Like you have to dodge all the elite damage and whatnot, you know. This walling isn't helping by the way, but I'm almost done with this spot anyways. Just have like maybe 1 or 2 more Oculus Rings. Maybe I get my 1%. I'm okay. Got my 1%. All right, that's it basically. Pandemonium into Pandemonium into Whining Cave Hulks. This is a problem. This is basically I don't have, well, I mean this spot is fine. Let's just try this spot. So Hulks are okay as long as you see like 4 to 8 of them without spending too much time gathering them together. But if you ever see like only 1 or 2 at a time, then it's basically pointless. Because you need to total them to about, you know, to like about 4 or 5% in terms of progress, right? Which is what you want from an elite pack anyways, right? And an elite pack is like 5 to 7% progress. So you need to make sure you have enough of these Hulks as though they're an elite pack, because that's how much health they have, right? Well, less than an elite, but their their monster type itself is basically an elite. The 16%. Um, haven't really got a chance. Going dead ends everywhere is also not helpful. Probably here, but the yellow elite just saw me, so this is bad news already. Yeah. The floor 1 was okay. In terms of the opening. It turned very, very quickly. So I got my 18%. I'm hoping that the next floor is an open floor with an easier monster type. Alright. 20%. Okay. I got my... So, people love this map, right? Or at least this is one of the 4 maps that you would play. Don't you find it so silly that they often hide the better map on like floor 2 or 3 for me? And yes, I can play big spiders now only because if I can see the future good pylon, right? There's only 2 pylons that can help me in this situation right now. One is obviously the Conduit, if it will show up, like last time, which was really rare. The other is a shield. Big spiders, because of the plague pools, you would rather have the shield, because then you can actually play your necklace stacks. So 25%. 25% is like the first... Well, it's not the guaranteed first pylon, but it's like the start of a potential. There are earlier percentages, like the 18% earlier, right? Alright, I need to keep moving after this Oculus Ring. And then I got channeling, so it's over. 28% channeling. For me, the game is easy to stop, which is basically floor 2 check, first pylon played, or even up to the second pylon. Those are like the 3 main rules, basically. Floor 1, Pandemonium, Dark Berserker, Executioner mob sets. Played to 10%. Too many yellow elites back to back. Floor 2, Winding Cave, Hulks, mob set. Floor 3, pestering woods, big spiders, mob sets, 28% channeling pylon behind by 2.5 minutes. At least 2.5 minutes already behind. So sad that they gave me really a bad pylon to start. I mean, if it was a shield, now I may be able to catch up to time, but it's gonna take a lot. It has to be like what, 4 elites quickly, and then I have to get all the Oculus rings, and then each of the 4 elites cannot be a slow one to gather together. Yeah. All right. 44th. Try. Plague tunnels. I've had funny plague tunnels. Scavenger mob set mix or something. So far, what's really troublesome about this start is that there's too many chargers in this opening. Alright. Okay, 6%. Got a blue elite. This is summoner slash scavenger mob set. This blue elite is really bad news for me already. Arcane in the narrow hallway is really terrible. I need to find opportunity to skip this elite, honestly. I mean, they're not very tanky though. Like this mob set is Lacuni Slasher as an elite is not tanky. But the bad news is the affix is not fun in a narrow hallway. And what's really interesting for me, I actually do better on really bad maps. I mean, I'm not saying that I have to play bad maps but like terrible maps, I actually do better on terrible maps. It's because I actually have space to play. Now, aside from the arcane beams, like I said, but on the really good maps, I don't have space to play. It's just like elites after elites taking up the time from where you need to dodge all their stuff. At that point, it's just your paragons is playing the game. You know, if you can actually like tank and play like 4 elites without having trouble, you're very likely that you have paragons playing the game more than you playing the game. I'm not saying you don't need paragons. I'm saying that if you actually can tank 4 elites and still stay even, that's more than likely that you have the paragons. You're using the paragons more than you think. Alright, so 16%. I don't know if I'm gonna get a pylon here. That I don't really want to reveal yet. The sad part is I don't know if I'm gonna get to 18%. This elite is very painful too. I need to get 18% before I reveal that spot. The sad part is I only have one elite here so far. Okay, so I have the 18%. Probably want to go check now. Well, if I didn't get this Oculus ring, I would have gone to check. Okay. No pylon. Okay. Well, I was probably too close to the spot anyways when I was entering this donut. So now the last problem is that one, if this elite gets hurt down to like almost nothing, then I need to commit. The problem is that I don't have time to commit. Because if I don't have enough Oculus rings for this blue elite either, then committing is basically time loss. That's why earlier when I had a chance to use an Oculus ring, I took it. Because now the problem is that I don't have any more Oculus rings, right? But luckily, they were down to like really low, so I can commit. But based on the progress bar though, I didn't have time. So I don't have a donut here. So I didn't get a follow-up donut, which means that this is very likely manual play. And even then, it's too late because an elite just saw me. And it's walling. Like, everything can go wrong, like, at the worst possible time. I get this 1% move, because the walling is gonna get me. The dead end. I need to find the exits. Okay, there is a donut. Now, with this donut, however, I can take a risk, but if I take the risk to reveal it now, and that there's no good pylon, then it's over as it is. Now, even if I go and reveal it, I don't have anything useful to play with a stronger pylon, if it did give me a stronger pylon. So, this is the worst news about Plague Tunnels, is that you don't have anything good to play when you're given a good pylon. Now, unless you actually had already like 3 elites following you or something, then it's really, really good. So I'm gonna check it anyway. Alright. So I got a shield. I think I'll just take the shield and run. Okay, I got another donut. I gotta... Yeah. I gotta play here. Is this a juggernaut? It is, right? Yeah, it is a juggernaut. So this is over. I saw the elite affix. I mean, I'm still gonna just play the shield anyways, just to show like how I would play like the shield for the progress, because I can get the progress. I just can't stay for this juggernaut. So I'm hoping that the next floor is like reasonable. Okay, I have to keep moving now. Oh my gosh, really? So I'm getting the multi donuts now, which means that before I got these donuts, right? I didn't know that I'm gonna get this many donuts. But after seeing these donuts, though, it means that the better pylon would have been a conduit. But I'm so far behind time that it doesn't even feel good because I got a 34% shield, which means that the next pylon is like at best 50%, but very unlikely. And I need Oculus rings, that's why I didn't. Because the shield's about to end. And I got a Juggernaut at the earliest of the shield. I got a Juggernaut, which basically means that I can't play. I mean, this is an interesting lake tunnels. This was an interesting lake tunnels. It was just sad that the middle was an arcane shielding blue. Alright. I got the elite. Nope, no pylon. What is the next floor anyways? Oh my god! They actually gave it to me. See? So, I was saying 50%, right? They actually gave me the 50-ish percent pylon. Now, it is a good pylon, but I mean, it is the best one out there. The bad news is that it's super far, where there's no setup, and then it's a break-even conduit at best. It's a break-even conduit at best. Because I don't even think I can go to the blue. I have a feeling that I might not even make it to the blue. Of course I got a Juggernaut. So I can't... Yeah, I have to go for the blue instead. Got a Juggernaut. The pylon, the Conduit pylon's elite is a Juggernaut. Wow, really? I chained into... I chained into another Juggernaut, and then no more blues. So, look at that. That was like a break-even Conduit. I I even got lucky seeing that Conduit, by the way. I was like telling myself, how am I going to get to the second pylon? And then at best it would be a 50% pylon. And it was 54%. I mean, I was close in predicting, but that's like a lucky, totally lucky guess. Alright, well, this is over. This is over anyways, but just wanted to say, like, that they gave me a chance. I'm thankful for that. They actually gave me a chance. I mean, to show the progress bar, not to get a win. That there was no win there. But that was a good chance to show the progress bar. 44th try fail. Floor 1, Lake Tunnels, 34% Shield Pylon, behind by almost 2 minutes, I think, at the time. Um, predicted, predicting for, well, hoping for a an early 50% Pylon. Floor 2 check at 1 Crypt. with an entrance 54% conduit, went ahead to check for elite packs. The elite packs were too spaced apart. Kinda knew that it was a density and break even conduit. Broke even at 77% progress and connected to a 79, well, 78%. Well, I don't know. It was a third pylon channeling at maybe 77% or something like that. That was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool attempt, I would say. Now, had had that shield be a conduit first, I would have probably made back a little bit more time, I think. And then to play the shield in the Act 1 crypt might have been a better pylon. But then the problem is that that spot, the center spot, did not have enough proximity elite packs. So that's why a lot of people love Fields of Misery or Festering Woods, by the way. When you get a central pylon, like a stronger central pylon, right? You have a lot of elites that are already in proximity or that you're kiting towards a potential help, right? And then when you actually get that potential help, you're good to go. And so the issue with the shield pylon was that I didn't really need any help, like in the moment, in the proximity. I didn't need any help. So then the shield is basically just travel time. And that's not what you want. All right. 45th try. Big spiders, some stinging swarms. I guess I'll just start here. Like, why not? When there's no elites in sight, I'll just take the kills. Alright, 3%. This decent spot. Oh, the elites was the next room. I mean, I wish I had time to play this spot. I mean, I'm still gonna stay here. It doesn't feel... Well, I don't want to say it. These ocular strings have been nice, though. Unexpectedly nice. Alright. So, 10%. I need to leave. Oh no. Got the early pylon right away. 10% power. So, hmm. Okay, so there's a donut here. Okay, so there's two elite. 2 elites. I can't save this power pylon. But I also have a feeling that I may not be able to clear this because of how scary this spot is gonna be. So let's just gather everybody here. Let's gather everyone here, and then I'll go back with a power and try my best to play. Even though it's almost impossible.
I wish I could do that. Not ready yet.
Because technically I need the power for the Rift Guardian, but so far I've never had the chance to even spawn the Rift Guardian. So let's just play the... Now the sad part is, this is like a really bad elite. So this power pylon is basically worth 1 elite, and that's not what you want. You don't want a 1 pylon elite. It's not even a 1. Wow. Look at how sad that was. I wanted to try to chain it into this elite, by the way, over here, but it ended up being not even enough. So 10% power means that I need like 30%, 32%. Okay, I don't know if I can even get to 32% like this. Probably not. And then I need to pray that the next spot is a donut. This spot has the percent of progress that I need, but I need a shield next, I think. Because I don't know how much I can gain from a conduit. Because about transformers, okay, you want the actual guys to turn into the unholy thralls first before your conduit zaps them. Preferably speaking. So the downside of getting a conduit is that all you're doing is clearing the other the other monsters of the Transformers mob set, the Hulks, that is. Majority. I need the Hulks. Alright, I think I got 1 or 2 of them. Okay, I did get my donut. I did get Elite, so knowing that I got this blue Elite, I need a conduit. Is this gonna be a conduit? Nope, it's channeling. I'm out. See, that's the saddest part. That's the saddest part about pushing. But if you know what you need, it's not terrible. Floor 1, Temple, Firstborn, Big Spiders, Mob Set, 10% Power Pylon. Floor 2, check. Lake Tunnels. Um, Thank you so much for the follow. How are you doing? Show gear, please. No problem. I'll show the gear. Give me 1 second. Um, Transformers mob sets. Uh, Guests for a 32% plus second pylon. Got some donut spots for 36% channeling pylon. Yeah, cute recipe. It's not the perfect, but it's so cute recipe page 11 is usually what you want to use for the ethereal weapons, and pray that for whatever build you're playing, right, that you get at least the right power. Okay. This season there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people who play Professionist this season. Yes. So the interaction, well, cute recipe page 11 came out from season 28. Back in season 24, ethereals were looted only, like at least that I remember. So, uh, it was probably like maybe after the angelic season or something that basically the cube recipe pages had more chance to interact with the seasonal themed items, so to speak, because of how angelic crucibles worked, right? And so it basically kind of like changed the internal game systematically, I would say. And then season 28 came out with the cube recipe page 11, and apparently it was possible to put the interaction with your ethereal weapon to easily maximize uh, at least the top half, right? The bad news is that it's a new role of the power and the passive. Unless you get super lucky to get the same thing that you were using and needing for your respective build. But yes, the short answer is you can, but it's a whole new role for the power and passive. So it means that you have to keep trying if you didn't get the right one. Now, if you don't have enough primordial ashes, by the way, if you don't have enough primordial ashes, then you need to make sure you keep the same way that you would do. You would keep multiple of the weapon name that you need, and then you apply Guild Recipe 11 on a different weapon, on the next same item name of that weapon, so that when you salvage the previous bad one, you get back the 55 ashes, so that you can actually try, well, at least have more. Yeah, yeah. So it did make like season 32, for example, it made season 32 ethereal a lot easier. So season 32 was crazy because people actually found out that you can work with the page 11. So season 32 was crazy. You've been playing for like a week? Never played before? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Uh well, I mean, season 28 featured the altar. So season 28 was one of the coolest seasons that I never imagined that they would have added the altar, by the way. Oh, you got some trying to teach you? Well, Diablo 3 or any of the Diablo? Like did they try to like teach you every different ones? Whether it's Diablo 2, Diablo, oh, just Diablo 3? Okay. I mean, Diablo 3 is like uh chill enough, okay? I mean, they kind of turned Diablo 4 really chill too, but I would say that Diablo 3 is even more chill up until you need to do like pushing or time attacking. So like for me, I'm playing the pushing, the kind of pushing that you shouldn't do, because my type of pushing is that I am studying how I can turn the Rift RNG into my favor, which is a waste of time, so to speak. A lot of the other people that are doing the GR 150, they're just closing and opening, opening and closing, right? Um, I do close as soon as I see that there's no chance for me to come back at all, but I don't do that fishing thing that other people might have started explaining to you about higher Diablo 3 gameplay. Okay? So the way that I approach this game is a more methodical and strategic way to play. It's very simple. I feel like hardcore WoW players so used to it. In a sense, the in terms of the way I'm playing, oh, the highest you've done is 122. Okay, I mean there are different seasonal themes that they already started recycling since season 30. So season 30 was the season that basically they announced that Diablo 3 is on maintenance mode or on recycling mode. So you'll have stronger seasonal themes and weaker seasonal themes. This season um is one of the strongest god like this set's strongest season. This based based on this weapon though. This is one of the strongest weapons of the entire season, I would say. The other season that I actually did the GR150 was the Soul Shard season, which was 2 seasons ago. I actually got my first God DH GR150 done, and I was actually under 3K Paragon also. Which, by the way, this build on any other weaker seasons, to do a GR150, you need a Godly Rift and usually 4K Paragon, up to 6K Paragon on weaker season themes. On stronger seasonal themes, you can get away with between 2.2. If you're like super hard fishing and you get super lucky, you can push GR150 by 2.2K up to 4K Paragon. So like this season, on average, the GR150 is around like 2.5 through 4K. There are other people that got it done, like I said, the 2.2K and stuff like that. You really need to get super lucky in the best rift possible. Or you know what you're doing to the point that you can only play like either the density monsters or monsters with lower health. Yeah. You're also playing God DH, so I mean, the one thing you need to do is make sure that you already work on putting up the Guardian Jeopardy version. So if you've been playing for 1 week, I would hope that your friends or you would have worked on farming, enough plans. I mean, I don't know how much they've taught you about the game and how much you've played in the game, but you need to make sure that you start working on the Guardian Jeopardy setup, because when they reworked the Guardian Jeopardy, it helped with being a lower Paragon or everyone being at a low Paragon to start every new season. When they reworked the Guardian Jeopardy, yeah, you just need the luck now. 122, by the way, you don't need much luck. So if you look at I can give you my whole rundown of what I did this season, just to give you a show. Okay, so I know that's a lot of text there. Okay, but during the 122 to 140, or even to the 136, by the way, I was below your Paragon. So I did up to 1 GR 136 by 1097. Okay, I didn't actually even had my altar done. My altar wasn't done. I didn't use the cute recipe page 11 for my weapon until way later. I think it was like my GR 140, or even the one. Yeah, I think it was a GR 140 when I started using the recipe page 11 to turn it into a fake primal. Okay, so if you're struggling on like getting yourself like 120, like between the 120 to the 130, if you're struggling, you need to check some things. Okay, now with the Ethereal Bariza, it says that when you hit frozen enemies, they're always critical hits, right? So a lot of people will tend to play specifically that effect. You did a GR 130 today in group. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can. So what you really want to do is make sure that if you're doing the GR 130s, okay, you need to make sure that you're using the time effectively during the group play, okay, by ranking up the main gems that you're playing, so that it can help you when you're doing the solo. Otherwise, then during your solo, okay, you have to make sure that you're clicking at Urshi when you're upgrading the gems, your legendary gems, the 3 gems. When let's say you're doing a 125, you better have some gem that's ready for the 125 click. Okay, meaning that your rank of the gems have to be close enough. It's kind of like in a WoW sense, your legendary gems that you're using is like you need to match closer to help your gear score, so to speak. Okay, so you need to be valuing the clicks. Yeah, if your gems are 115-ish, then you need to make sure that when you're doing in groups, you click those gems, okay? And also for solo, when you're doing, let's say, a 120, don't just think about 100% upgrades, okay? Because eventually, or maybe you've already seen when you try to click, when you test click before you click the upgrade, right? You probably saw like 60% to 80% or whatever on those gems, and you're like, nah, I think I'll make use of the time more efficiently to rank up something that's 100%, right? Well, if it doesn't help your build, okay, you're not actually making use of the time necessarily. That's one thing. The other thing is, as you go higher, you're only gonna make yourself feel bad if you're relying on 100% at Urshi, the gem upgrade lady, after each Greater Rift. It's because eventually, when you get closer and closer to the number that you actually need to do, you're never going to see 100%. You only see 100% when everyone is efficient enough for the sake of going higher or opening higher per keystone. But once you level out, like plateau, once you plateau, which is where you feel like you're plateauing a little, when you plateau, you have to click the 60%. So what I'm saying here is that if your gems are 115, whatever that you're doing right now, you need to make sure that you're able to click on those 115 gems to rank it up, even if it is a step-by-step process. Because otherwise, you'll just never improve on the gems that you're doing. Because otherwise, you're like, oh my gosh, now I need a group, and then now they need to open a GR 130 all the time, and then when you see that the 60% isn't there, I mean the 100% isn't there, then you're like, oh, I need to go higher, so I need to go to GR 140 now. Well, in a group, you can if everyone is, good enough to do so, and everyone has a meta build, just like, in a WoW rating, you have the healers, you have the right roles involved, right? Then you can do quote unquote anything. But to force that 100% is a terrible thing because now it's actually not anybody's fault that people push for only 100% upgrades at Urshi. Okay, the reason why people do the 100% is actually because between the 90% and the 80%, they fail quite a lot, and it's actually upsetting. When the 80% or the 90% fails so much more than whatever, people get really afraid to try further, like as in like 60% ones. In fact, what's even more funny is that if you're working on paragons, right? Eventually you have nothing really to click. So then you're just gonna just click whatever to get rid of her so that you can go to the next rift, right? So for example, you will see some friends might tell you, oh, if you can't upgrade any gems, just take the EXP, right? And if you take the EXP, just click on a random gem so that we can all go to the next rift. You don't have to worry about like, ranking a different gem if it's not going to help your current build or anything like that, right? Because, Paragon, I mean, in each different game, especially if experience points is involved, experience points is like more important eventually. Especially if there's no like foreseeable like cap. Of course, there is a cap. The cap is 20,000 paragons, but you're not really gonna reach that like within a season. But what I'm trying to get you to do is to make sure that. So by the way, my gems, just to let you know, I rank them myself. Most of these, okay, in the group, I don't rely on playing as a group, even though I am group seasonal. Most of these ranks, I reach them myself, literally. Because when you push, so if you did a GR 130 today, okay, let me make it even more simple. When you do a GR 130 today, one of your gems should be very close to 130 so that you can chance the 60%. Which means that you really want to make use of your time to match. It's kind of like gear score. When you do like a dungeon or when you do a raid, right? You're working towards that 410 item, but it still has the RNG to not drop for your class or your role, right? So these gems, generally speaking, when you push your 130, when you open a GR 130 solo for yourself, technically you want yourself to have a 130 gem to match the gear score, to reach the gear score that you actually want, right? So that by the time the next expansion comes out, or by the time you have more friends that are like getting ready for the raid, you actually have a good gear score because now your gems are 130, 130, 130. So that when your group opens a higher rift, a higher number, you have more damage, even by like a little bit, right? So it's kind of like that, in a sense. So when I do my push attempt, when I do my 147, let's say, I want to make sure that my gem is closer to the 147. And then you chance the 147 you chance getting closer to the 147 as best you can. So in your case, whenever you're doing, whether it's GR 125, whatever, click on those 115s. Okay, so when you spam GR 120s or GR 122s, whatever, right? Make sure you get all those 115, 115, 115, like these three legendary gems in your jewelry. Make sure that by the time you stop spamming 122s, they have to be at 123. Because let's say you do 30 of those. I would say that from 115 of your main gems to the 122 that you're currently doing, if you spent like 20 to 30 keys of those, they should be caught up. Okay, so why do I not play preparation? Is because I don't use. So a lot of people love to use this smoke screen. Special recipe is the best one. Okay, it is the best. Well, I'm only going to say the best because people love it, or like I would say, the majority of demon hunters, in general, will play special recipe for like the entire season when it comes to smoke screen, except for speed GRs that well, depending on the build and the capability, displacement is for T16, like Torment 16, and like the faster farming, lower stuff, right? You use displacement for movement speed and stuff, but special recipe is usually the other main one. But for me, I'm not using that, and my muscle memory already changed to the point where Vanishing Powder is like my rune choice. And for me, Vanishing Powder is kind of like the Witch Doctor Spirit Walk. Okay, that means you turn invisible. You're able to turn invisible based on cooldown. Okay, so I don't actually use the class specialty resource at all. And the other reason as to why I love Vanishing Powder rune is also the fact that we work on cooldown ourselves. Now, it is not going to be very like obvious as to how cooldown is helping my like this 6-second cooldown. It's not going to be very obvious as to how fast 38% cooldown really helps the the last rune, right? But let me make it simple for you in terms of during the rift. Okay, when you do those GR 122, okay, let's say you didn't get a stronger pylon, and let's say you're new to the game where you suddenly face 3 elite packs. So like the harder monster, the harder stuff, right? During the rift, with all the ground like effects and stuff, right? And when you start facing those things, you become pressure. You start panicking. When you start panicking, okay, I'm not saying you would, but if you did, you would press your smoke screen, the special recipe or shadow power or something like either shadow power or smoke screen, right? These two cost quite a lot of discipline, but special recipe drops it down so that you spend less on the blue color resource. So where people use preparation is because you're spending the blue color resource, which I'm not using. So when I talk about the elite packs is that if you're panicking or if they are actually hurting you, you will press more and more. Okay? When there's too many elite packs involved, you start draining really low. Okay? If you get to the point that is like the worst moment, and if your discipline is not topped off to even like halfway at all, it's almost like useless in a sense. Which means that you're always praying to have just enough. Thank you for the follow. You're praying that if you run too low, you're praying that during the difficult moments that your discipline has at least 8 discipline for you to press the smoke screen again. Okay? So that's the worst part about using like the specialty of discipline. That's the worst part. But if you're really good at topping up with no issues to top up at least more than halfway every time, okay, then you're fine. Then preparation is helpful. Now, where Wolf Companion comes in, okay, or where Companion comes in, depends on what you actually need and what you actually hope for, okay? So why do I have Wolf Companion here? Is because I act as though there's a support with me, but in solo. So at different points in time, I actually have increased damage. Preparation, okay, is only helpful for your smoke screen and the damage that you gain from the necklace. Okay, so of course the damage gained from the necklace stacks is the #1 priority. Okay, but if you face trouble, even with a good use of the smoke screen, if you still lose the necklace stacks, then my Wolf Companion is, or like the use of a companion, whether it's giving you resistance or damage in this case, it's actually going to give you damage regardless. Okay, and then it gets more confusing where if you are playing one of the powers, right? So for this build, okay, there are 2 options. Generally speaking, there are 2 options. You either use the Fortress Ballista, okay, so this one. So it's either going to be the Fortress Ballista or the Vala. Okay, the Valas. This one. So I'm using Valas, okay, because first of all, I got used to playing Valas. Okay, when you get used to the Fortress, what's really bad is that what if the Fortress shields start falling off? When the Fortress shields start falling off, then your necklace stacks begin to fall off. So then, what's the problem? You lose so much damage. Well, that depends. Because you have to be really good at understanding where you're positioned. Because by letting your arrows that you strafe and that it's casting the arrows, right, from the set, okay? Now the arrows that are strafed is pierce as well. Now, this satchel says that it's piercing, okay? But generally speaking, the ones that are coming off from the build itself isn't always piercing. What this is showing is that the hungering arrows are the ones that are piercing. but not the activity from the set itself. So the strafe is an activator, okay? But you're only limited in the number of targets, which is why the choice matters to where people are using the fortress for survivability. But when the fortress shields start to fall off, first of all, the question is, do you die? If you die very often, even with the fortress shields, okay, that means that one, you're not dealing enough damage anyways. Okay. Two, if you are using fortress shields, you need to know where you're standing. You need to know where you're playing from. Which means that one thing that's really bad about people who learned this build is that you're actually not supposed to strafe through the enemies. Okay? You actually want to play from the outside. Or like, think of it this way. In World of Warcraft, when you're raiding, okay, the DPS, right, as a DPS, first of all, you don't want to be like in the boss's face. Second, you generally want the tank to face the boss in the opposite direction so that you don't get hit. And distance is DPS. It's kind of like the Warlock, for example, right? Back in, I don't know how far back you've played, where the engineering gloves or something in World of Warcraft or anything. Distance is DPS, right? If you're a mage and you're playing the Blizzard skill, you don't actually want to use Frost Nova or your Ice Block, or you don't even want to blink until they reach you, right? So distance is DPS also, because you have time to react and they don't have the chance to hit you yet. So if you're playing the fortress, the ones with the shield, then you actually want to be, a little bit less close to them anyway, such that you're always having your shields up. And then when you don't have shields, you need to move so that the shields can recover, or you can recover from this legendary gem. Because this legendary gem, when you rank it up, right, the second bullet point says hits with primary abilities, which is basically your hungering arrow. So whenever your hungering arrow reaches the enemy monsters, you heal, which means that you always want to be moving in a way that you're not getting hit, so that it buys you enough time for you to heal back up. So when people who are learning this build, right, sometimes they see the word strafe, they think that they always have to strafe through the enemy. Now, if you corner yourself, of course you have no choice but to strafe through the enemy. Also, if the space of the map, like if it's a narrow spot, right? If it's a narrow spot, it's unfortunate you have to strafe through the enemies. But if it's an open map, or if it's a map that there's space to play, you don't want to strafe through the enemies. Okay. The last thing I will say, okay, depending on how you were taught to play, okay, the hungering arrow, by the way, on the left click, if you're on PC especially. Now, if you're used to it by now, then it's okay. But I will tell you that when you're playing your GR 122 to 130, okay, make sure that you are not having a pit stop, like an abrupt pit stop, okay, like a very obvious pit stop. And what I mean by that is that when you're strafing, okay, suddenly you have momentum stacks issues. When you have momentum stacks issues, make sure that you are not standing still just to cast the hungering arrow like this and then continue again. So after like 1 minute later, you stop and then you do it like this and then you continue. This is bad, okay? It's really bad. Because in the moment, okay, the higher you go in the Greater Rift, okay, any enemy monster that is a ranged monster has the potential to hit you while you're doing this for that 2 seconds. Okay? So generally speaking, you always want to be strafing while maintaining your momentum stacks. So the left click way with the force standstill, if you're not happy with the force standstill, and why do I say when you're not happy with the force standstill, is because if you have a very visible pit stop, that means it's not about being a beginner at the game genre or anything like that. It's actually terrible even as a learning style, because the force standstill is affecting the gameplay of the 4-piece bonus. Because it also says, and also give you 60% damage reduction while strafing and for 5 seconds after. Now, of course, there are monster types that when you see them, there are 2 monster types specifically that, yes, there are situations where you want to stop strafing or be more positionally aware when you fight those 2 monster types. But in general, this build, you should almost not ever stop strafing. even when you have to Hungering Arrow. Okay, so that is the challenge between, um, even as a learning standpoint of whether you feel good. Yes, that's fine. If you're good at the left click way, okay, on PC, if you're good at the left click way and everything, then it's fine. But at any point in time, that yeah, yeah. But what's really helpful though with this season is that most of the monsters are already frozen, right? To where most of the time you're not gonna get hit during even that little pit stop. But I would say that the more you have that pit stop, the more that eventually one of your GR tier, like when you're opening like a GR 130 something, the visible pit stop will be the one of the biggest things, because basically people are like, why do you have to like have this weird pit stop? Because you don't need it, by the way. And why do I say that? If you were taught, okay, to play Force Standstill in this build, I can tell you right now, okay, I use Force Standstill only if my cursor is not readily available to left click some monster on accident for my Wolf Companion. Okay, so what I mean by this is that based on where I put my left click, right? Now I don't have, like, if I'm doing speed GRs and I'm so strong, right? I don't need, if I'm doing super fast stuff, I don't even need to left click at all, technically, right? And so I can tell you right now that this build, especially for Hungering Arrow, the skill, you should never need Force Standstill for Hungering Arrow. Okay, which means that which means that first of all, you don't actually want Hungering Arrow on the left click as soon as you get the 4-piece bonus. Okay, my force, like, so when you have the Hungering Arrow on a different key, whether it's QWER, ASDF, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, you actually never need to use the Force Standstill. So the only time you ever use like the Force Standstill, let's say whether you decide to put preparation here, like on the left click, let's say somehow your left click is actually preparation, then or one of the skills, but generally you want either companion or preparation on the left click anyways, because you rarely need to use it until it's ready. Which means that what that means is that it eliminates needing to remember to use the Force Standstill that often by comparison, because it's an additional half button that you have to worry about so often for the most important skill, right? Because the God DH, the set, basically speaking, if your Force Standstill is like super important, okay, I can tell you now, it is actually not needed. It is not needed for the primary skill. It is, the Force Standstill is only needed because of where you placed one of the skills that you need to play. But the build, this build itself, when people are teaching you the build, they should never need to make you think that Force Standstill is necessary. Like, to deal damage, that is. Okay? To deal proper damage, you don't actually need to have Force Standstill at all. To have the Force Standstill being played is for any build that has the left click being a little bit annoying to click. Yeah. Oh, I'm pushing. I was pushing. So I was just trying to explain. I was just trying to explain like how the difference is, right? I'm not doing like lower rifts. I'm gunning for my 150. Now I'm not fishing either, but just now I did the the 5 rifts to know what I'm doing, right? So anyway, I'll go ahead and do more now. But this is gonna be the 46th try. So let's see what the RNG gives us in the 46th try for the GR150. Ah, keeps is not a good start. Wait, what? A 0% power? What am I gonna do with that? Okay, so at least I know this is the dead end. X Executioner is okay. It's Blue Fallen mob set. This is Blue Fallen mob set, which is fine for progress. The only bad news about this is that this map is terrible, and then I got a power pylon to start, which is I want the power pylon for the Rift Guardian. And this spot is terrible to play because now the the really silly elites are here. There's like 2 elites here. So now the motivation to play the elites is basically to play the power pylon right now though. But I don't really want to play the power pylon unless I can guarantee that I've killed these 2 elites.
I'm still waiting.
And one of them is a juggernaut. So this is a busted keystone, I would say.
Need more time.
Now, I'm overcommitting on this floor. I really want to check what the next floor is, but I cannot give up Blue Fallen.
Not ready yet.
Because Blue Fallen is actually like a decent monster type. It's just terrible. It just looks terrible for my progress bar because the elite's affixes are disrupting me positionally. So
Need more time.
this is really sad because if it wasn't Blue Fallen, I would have tried my best to skip the floor. Like, I would check what floor 2 is. In fact, I probably want to go check now. Because I want to know if I made a really bad mistake or not. But in the other bad news is that because I got the power pylon. Okay, this is a short floor. Oh, really? Okay, it's not the bad. Okay, okay. So the bad news is I should have skipped faster. So I should have skipped the floor faster now.
I wish I could do that.
Because this is actually a better spot to play. So I should have skipped faster than I usually do.
I'm still waiting.
Because I lost all the time on that little bit that I wanted to invest. And most of the time lost was actually because of the elites that were near me. It wasn't because of the monster type that was bad. The monster type was actually fine. So why is it bad? Is because I'm getting my progress back, as you can tell now. So had I not stayed on the floor, on the first floor just now for a little too long, I would have gotten back like a bit more of the time. Okay. The bad news though, however, is that I got a 0% power pylon, which means that my first pylon is gonna be forever. Like, I mean, my second pylon is gonna be like,
Still waiting.
who knows when. Okay. And what's really bad about this graveyard also, by the way, at first it looks good, but now it looks terrible. Because why? I have way too many elites. I have way too many elites.
I wish I could do that.
Like, this is just way too many. Now, had I gotten a shield pylon, let's say the 0% pylon was a shield pylon, then it would have worked here. Now, of course, it's a little hindsight, but
I'm still waiting.
that's the strategy planning. It's kind of like playing chess, where you assume you have a game plan
Not
already,
yet.
and if you have a game plan, then you can execute the game plan. So the way of pushing works in 2 ways. One, you either farm super high Paragon and think less, or 2, you have a game plan such that you will help
Need more
to
time.
get the progress that you need in order to get the next pylon. The really bad part about getting that 0% pylon is that it's gonna make me need like, I don't know, 27% probably progress
Need
to
more
even
time.
get the next pylon over. But having 3 elite packs like right now. Yep, no problem.
I wish I
Have a
could
good
do
one.
that.
But yeah, so this is a crazy 46 try that isn't gonna work too much longer.
Not ready.
But it's actually like it almost had the right idea for me to be successful, but unfortunately it's too hot. I mean, I'm not like dying, but as soon as I say that, then the game decides to show like, oh, you are gonna die. I mean, this is a really bad situation. I don't know if I can get to 27% though. I'm not saying that 27% is where I'm gonna get my pylon, but I'm saying that based on the 0% power pylon that I got, I think the pylon is around 27%. Now the worst news of all is that I'm so I have this like usually I have this kind of mindset to where if your gold bar is super far like this, you're almost basically not gonna get your pylon like ever again. So this pylon has to be like I have to like I have to pray really hard, and I don't think I have 2% here either. The game is very trolly, so I have to like go now and check. I think for my pylon, I don't think it's gonna be there. I don't think I'll have a pylon. Yeah, I have no pylon. Alright, then it's over. Then it's over. Yeah, there's no pylon. Because it's too late. But if there was a pylon that's a stronger pylon, then it would be fine. Yeah, there's no pylon chance. But man, this is so close. Have a good night anyways. I wasted some time on the first floor, and then the second floor got too hot too quickly. Alright, so 46 try fail. Floor 1, apparently small keeps with 0% power pylon. Blue Fallen mob sets. Floor 2, graveyard, summoner mob sets. But too many elite packs. No help at 18% and 25% progress. That's so sad. This 46 try had the potential had they given me a chance. 47. Temple Firstborn. Scavengers. Scavengers is fine.